Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode two of my webcast, Fall to Rise. Uh, I thank everyone that viewed the first episode. We had, I believe, 120 or 200 viewers for the first episode with the man down at the bottom, Mr. Joseph Hogue, under Joe in Court, and he discussed abstinence in the Black community, which is it's really interesting. It's something that we don't talk about that often, and we had a lot of questions. We had a lot of people contacting us both about that particular lifestyle, and I think that we all learned a lot from it too. Uh, Today's episode is going to be about mental health in the Black community. Mental health is actually something that unfortunately is shunned in our communities. A lot of us go through issues and we think that we can either just pray the issues away or just pretend that they don't exist. And a lot of us have gone through things and we may not have handled it the right way because we didn't know how to properly handle it. The guest tonight is Derek Cooper, and he's going to explain how his journey with mental health actually helped to shape him and how it actually helped to save his life. So everyone say hi to Derek. I have
How
everybody
you
waiting
doing,
to say.
everybody?
Everybody probably has to just wave. uh, I know Derek because we're co-workers. We've been working together for about a year. Spent a lot of time just talking about mental health and just as Black men, how we don't look into mental health. We always assume that we're too tough to cry. We're too tough to feel sadness. We're too tough to feel pain. But we actually harm ourselves in the long run. It's something that I mentioned in the first episode. A lot of us are committing slow motion suicide. So we have this pain. We have these things that we're dealing with. So in order to deal with that pain, we drink, we smoke, we sleep around, we engage in different types of risky behavior in order to deal with it. For instance, I have a good buddy of mine that has been through a lot. He's lost both of his parents, his godmother, his brother and mother died within days of each other in the same hospital. And in order to deal with it, he would drink consistently. And the belief with him was that he was just an alcoholic. It wasn't until he passed out and was taken to a hospital that the people in the hospital diagnosed him with bipolar 2 depression. One of the signs of bipolar 2 depression is that you have really high highs and really low lows. So him drinking was a sign of that depression, but had he never gone to get that mental health, to be honest with you, I don't know if he would be alive right now. And he's one of my closest friends. So mental health is definitely something that we should look into. Now, Derek, I remember
Yes.
from a previous conversation that we had, you actually told me that getting mental health treatment actually saved your life.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely, absolutely.
can you elaborate on that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, I've had, like most people, have mental health issues for a while now. A lot of it stems from my childhood. I had a good childhood for the most part, if you're looking from the outside in, but deep in the cracks, I had a lot of issues. Uh, with a lot of the issues I went through, um, it put me down a self-destructive path. Like I never was into drugs or alcohol heavy, but I was definitely into sex. I was extremely sexually active and got to a point I just lost myself in it. And so, with getting help, my therapist, which is up here right now, and just talking to my pastor or other counselors I've had in my past that helped me get on a better path where I'm at now. I'm in the best point in my life that I've ever been, and I couldn't be happier.
Okay. Now, you said that a lot of the issues that you had stemmed from your childhood. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
from previous conversations that we'd had, you talked about some of those issues with me. I know that
Yeah.
one of them was you dealt with colorism within your family.
Yeah. Hmm.
Can you go into that?
Yeah, colorism was heavy because it made a huge rift between me and my brother, which we
Okay.
still have today. Like I don't talk to my brother at all to this day, and I definitely feel like colorism played part of it. When we were younger, they kind of used to pit me and my brother against each other. My brother's old;
Mhm,
he's 8 years older than me.
mhm,
We're the same skin tone for the most part, but we went into the whole conversation about good hair. So when I
mhm,
was younger, I guess I had more wavy, fluffy hair, and so we
mhm,
feel like, oh, he got that good hair, and they used to put in his head like I'm gonna be basically the better brother, and
mhm,
so he really started believing that, and he started resenting me. One of the reasons that's one of the reasons why he started resenting me, and we've never been close. I think the last time we were close, I was probably in kindergarten, and I'm 30
Wow.
now.
Wow.
And like to this day, like I haven't spoken to my brother in a year, and I actually want to
Mhm.
keep it that way because our relationship is nothing but toxic, and I just don't want him in my life because he's just not a good presence. A lot of negative energy.
So do you think a lot of the issue stems from the fact that well, you said that you guys are the same complexion, pretty
Yeah,
much,
we're
right?
the same complexion. I mean, I'm maybe slightly lighter, but nothing crazy.
Hmm.
I definitely feel like we're the same complexion, but it was just they were just pitting us against each other.
Hmm.
And then when I got older, I guess he wanted me to follow in his footsteps, playing sports, this and that. But
Hmm.
I have a completely different personality than him. So we never got along, ever.
Hmm. Now, for those that don't understand, can you explain what colorism is?
Oh, no problem. So
Hmm.
colorism, basically, light skin is the great skin, dark skin
Hmm.
is the bad skin. This happened way back in slavery days, and it's evolved over the years, but the effect is still the same.
Hmm.
Feel like light skin have a better privilege, or if you have nicer texture hair or easier texture hair, um, you're basically saying that they're better than the dark skin or more 4C type hair.
Hmm.
And in reality, that's just not true. But if you build this in people's heads over and over again, generation and generation and generation, people are
Hmm.
going to start believing it. Even when I
Yeah.
was younger, I believed it.
Hmm.
I was younger. I hated being dark skinned. I thought it was like the worst thing in the world. I saw a lot of light skin, all my light skinned friends or cousins.
Hmm.
I felt as if that they had a better life than I did, and they got more attention than I did.
Oh, wow.
So now that I'm older, I see that was completely not true. But when you're a kid, you start believing that, because especially when you hear it from your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, like
Hmm.
all your sources are telling you that your dark skin is not right. Don't go out in the sunlight. Try to get as light as possible.
And it makes you kind of look down on yourself, look at yourself as if you're less than human, or if you're lower
Oh
than
yeah,
everyone else.
self esteem was trash. My self esteem was the worst back in the day. Like it was the worst.
Hmm.
Uh, it didn't get better until I got a little bit older, graduated high school, went and explored the world, and I realized first off, I love being black. That's the best thing that ever happened to my life. And two, I love my skin. I love my
Hmm.
skin tone. Like this is the skin tone God gave me, so why not
Hmm.
just be happy and live in it?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, man.
Now, with your accent, I guess we can all hear that you're from the South. Where are you from originally?
Oh, deep in North Carolina, small town called Rose Hill.
We have a lot of people actually on here from North Carolina. We have about three people on here that are actually from North Carolina.
What's going on,
Uh,
family?
uh, now, there's, I guess, another strike that you had against you because you were in the South and you were a gay black man that
Yes.
lived in the South.
Yes.
So I know that had to be really, really difficult.
It was
Hmm.
only to the point that I just didn't express myself. I never told anybody I was gay. So I didn't
Hmm.
come out till I was 21.
Wow.
But I used to hear, of course, my family, everybody down south used to talk shit about being gay, calling
Hmm.
you faggots or sissies or fairies, little words like that. So I knew from an early age that I was gay.
Hmm.
Knew from a very early age. And so when I started seeing people how they reacted to people being gay on TV or just people walking by, I knew
Hmm.
immediately right then and there I need to pull back. I don't need to show anybody my true self until I'm at an age where I can handle the situation.
That had to be lonely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely lonely, but what can you do?
Now, how did in a lot of those situations, your mother or father, that's usually the one thing they don't want to hear from their child.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't want to hear,
absolutely.
oh, you're gay. Oh, I can't believe that. I'd rather have no child than have a gay child. You know,
Yeah.
what was it like coming out to your family?
So, my father doesn't even count. He hasn't been in my life like that. But
Hmm.
when I came out to my mom, I was 21 and I was in the Navy at the time, and I was just
Hmm.
visiting my mom for the weekend.
Okay.
And I think that following morning, I had to go to my command and I had to do some military work. And I don't know what hit me, but right before I walked out the door, and this is a funny story. It's kind of trifling, but it's me. And once you
Hmm.
hear it, you'll know it's me.
Hmm.
So before I walked out the door, something told me like, you know what? It's time for you to tell your mom. And I was like,
Hmm.
okay. So I called my mom. I was like, Mom, before I go, I gotta tell you something. She's like, okay, good. What's up? I said, I gotta tell you something important. I said, go ahead. I said, go ahead and sit down. She said, okay, what's up? I said, Mom, I'm gay. She said, you gay? I'm like, yeah, I'm gay.
Mhm.
Said, what you mean gay? Like, you like boys gay? I'm like, yeah, like I like boys gay.
Mhm.
And she went quiet for a little bit, and she's like, okay. And she was quiet for the rest of that time. So, but
Mhm.
then I went to work. So then I call her while I'm heading to the job, and I'm like, you doing all right?
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm just praying to God for a change. And me being who
Mhm.
I am, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, she came around a couple months later because when
Okay.
I came out with force.
Mhm.
I wasn't timid about it. I was at this point in my life where I'm like, I'm 21. And no, I didn't feel like I was grown, but I was grown enough to handle my own situations. So
Mhm.
I was strong enough to tell like, Mom, I'm gay. This is who I am. I feel like you've known since I was a kid, but you just couldn't express it, and that's fine. But I'm just
Mhm.
letting you know, I'm gay.
And you know
Accept
what?
it or
That
leave it.
that happens in a lot of families.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we'll see a kid. We'll say, you know what? I think they might be gay growing up. So what you do is you try to make them extra aggressive. You put them
Yeah,
all in all
absolutely.
the aggressive sports. So you know what? You're going to be in boxing, football, baseball, basketball. We're going to put you in MMA. Like I'm 3. Doesn't matter
Absolutely. Yeah,
because
absolutely.
that's in a lot of families that's one of the biggest sources of shame. Not
Hmm.
as much now, but especially back in the 80s,
Oh
early
yeah.
90s, even before that, that was one of the biggest sources of shame is being gay.
No,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
like when I was younger, there were certain people in my family who thought I was. So
Hmm.
they put me in every sport imaginable. And then they said, "Oh, you're not gay?" Ooh. I said, "Well, there's other good things about me too. I'm actually a good person." Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but you're not gay though. That's the main thing. so,
So true.
so that's got to be rough. I mean, just you have to by being a gay black man in the South, you have to literally pretend to be someone else all the time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I
So,
had so many fake stories about all the girls I was dating or who I was
mhm,
having relations with.
mhm,
Every single one was a lie, but people believed
mhm.
it. I was good at lying.
Did you ever get fake girlfriends or beards as they call them?
Yeah, but it never lasted long. I think the longest relationship I had with a woman was like 3 months
Oh wow.
because I knew like, nah, it's just not for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
So
and so I knew from a very early age.
when you went to the prom, did you go to the prom with a girl or did you just go by yourself?
Oh, I went with a girl.
Oh, okay. Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Now, with a lot of the people that I know that are gay, not all, but there's some of them that turn gay after being sexually abused.
Hmm.
I have one friend of mine who was actually raped by a former friend of mine,
Right.
and I still feel the guilt for it to this day because he raped her on a day that I was there. We were hanging out
Right.
together, and as soon as I left, he raped her.
Right.
And apparently, he raped her multiple times over the
Right.
course of the year, and she's now a lesbian.
Right.
She said that her being raped actually led to her coming out and being a lesbian. Again, I'm
Right.
not sure if she was a lesbian her entire life or not, but that kind of brought her out. Now, did you go through anything like that growing up?
Sadly, I was a victim of child molestation. Sadly, I feel like it's almost like a rite of passage nowadays. It's so
Mm-hmm.
sad, but it's true. I mean, I almost all my friends have had some type of encounter where they've been molested in some way, shape, or form. For me, like I knew I was gay before anything occurred with me, but
Mm-hmm.
what happened, I feel, is that maybe somebody saw the spark that I was gay or I was having gay tendencies, you can say,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they took advantage of that when I was a child.
Mm-hmm. How old
Yeah,
were you?
so that's what I feel. Uh, Somewhere in the single digits, young single digits. I know that. So maybe like six or
Wow.
seven.
Wow. Wow. Did your brother know about that or your
No,
parent? Nobody knew you
at
kind of.
that, no, I kept it to myself. Then at that point, um, so this is, I think I was talking about this with this, well, I was talking about this with you a couple of days ago. But at that time when I was 7, after all that trauma occurred with the molestation and then me and my brother having that falling out, even when I was a kid, and then my father not being there for me, basically in my head, I wrote down that all black men were the enemy when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
All black men, including myself. I hated being black. And so I always drew closer to women when it
Mm-hmm.
came to like, because in my mind, black women are my protectors. To this
Mm-hmm.
day, I still love my black women. A lot of my friends are black women because they protect me like nobody else. Don't
Mm-hmm.
get me wrong, I love my brothers. I love my brothers. They're great.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten to a
Mm-hmm.
point now where I appreciate them. I love them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was a kid, black women were the only thing that was around me because they protected me.
Hmm. Wow. Wow, that's. I mean, it's great that you do have that relationship with black women, but that's
Yeah,
crazy
it's
when
a
you
yay, it's
hear.
a up and down because I
Yeah.
have a great relationship with black women, but when it came to black men, I'm like, you guys are the enemy. You guys have betrayed me since I was a kid. I can
Hmm.
never trust y'all.
What helped you get over that?
Just growth and just actually hanging around more of my black family members, especially my uncles. My
Hmm.
uncles are amazing. I love them. I don't know where I would be without them. I talk to them every other week because if I don't, they're gonna make a scene. Um, they have been amazing. Then I have great cousins.
Hmm.
Then my friends
Sure.
throughout the years, they've helped me get back on a better path and realizing that not black men are the enemy, and I should
Sure.
love them like I love myself.
That was the key thing. Love yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Self hate was real when I was young.
It's so crazy how many just black people in general hate themselves, and they're
Oh
not
God.
willing to admit it. They hate things about themselves. They can't accept things about themselves. They can't accept
Hmm.
the past. They're, you know, they quit so much because of their own self hatred. They do
Right.
negative things to their body because of their own self hatred. They
Right.
harm other black people because of their own self hatred. And I'm happy that you were able to find, I guess, your happy place, your medium with
Hmm.
black men, and more especially with yourself.
Right.
Now, you touched on earlier on the issues with your brother. You said that
Hmm.
one of the issues was colorism.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
were there any other issues?
I will say the biggest issue me and him have was he saw a lot of trauma when he was a kid.
Hmm.
A lot. He saw a lot of trauma. My mother and my father were in an extremely abusive relationship, and he saw a lot of stuff right in front of his eyes. And so, with all that happening, and when I came along, I guess my mom got her life. My mom not get her life together, but she left my father.
Hmm.
She got her own place, and so I had a whole different childhood compared to him.
Okay.
And so I think whenever he looked back at my life, he saw that I had a better life in his eyes,
Hmm.
and he just resented me heavy for it. But to this day, there's just so much hate in his heart for me.
Hmm.
And my therapist, she told me it's not even about me. It's just life has drug him down,
Hmm.
and he just has to take responsibility of his own actions. But
Hmm.
yeah, it was hard when I was young. I mean, I hated him. There were days where we had fights, and he was very
Hmm.
emotionally abusive like crazy, physically abusive. And there are numerous times where I got so angry, I had so much rage in my heart where I would just grab a knife out of the kitchen and just chase him.
Wow.
And my intent was to kill him. I wasn't just trying to scare him. Like I was ready to kill him. I hated him when I was a kid. Now that I'm older, I see that he's just damaged. Oh,
So you think that he suffers from the same self hate that you did?
oh yeah, definitely. I feel like our hate is very similar. Or
Hmm.
not hate, I'm sorry. Our trauma is very similar, but we express it in two different ways.
Have you all ever tried therapy or tried to work it out with a therapist?
No. I have tried numerous times to be like, the good guy, just try to talk to him. But in his eyes, I'm always enemy number one. And he's been on a
Hmm.
lot of drugs and alcohol through all the years. And so with all that, I feel like he's basically stunted his mental growth.
Hmm.
Because if I talk to him now, even though he's 38, he talks like a 16-year-old.
Oh
He
wow.
still has the rage and the emotional imbalance like a 16-year-old. And so
Hmm.
I got to a point like I don't have time to try to break through to you. I don't think I
Hmm.
can.
You don't have time to fix him.
No, no, it's not my job.
You can't fix somebody if you're still trying to fix yourself.
Right. And I can't fix somebody who doesn't want to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I really hope that you two can work it out, whatever it is, whether it be you getting therapy together, going to church together, what have you. I really, really hope that you all can work it out.
I hear you, but
Hmm.
that would be nice, but I'm a logical and rational person. I don't think that's going to happen. I just wish him peace and blessings on his journey wherever it takes him,
Hmm.
and I just hope he has a full and happy life.
Hmm. Okay. Now, you mentioned issues with your father. Uh,
Oh yeah.
can you talk about that?
Well, the thing is, me and my father's never had a relationship. He's been on
Mhm.
drugs about 45 years.
Wow.
He's been definitely strongly addicted to cocaine, and I think he used to use boat. I don't know what
Who?
y'all call it up here in the north. We call it
Boat?
boat. Love boat. It's basically weed and formaldehyde.
Oof. Dip.
Y'all call it dip. Okay, we call
Mhm.
it boat or love boat where I'm at. And so he
Mhm.
used that heavy, he used cocaine heavy, and he was an alcoholic. So with all that, he never could build a relationship. There was
Mhm.
never any building blocks there. I couldn't connect with him because he was
Mhm.
already gone. By
Mhm.
the time I became a teenager and I wanted to get to know him a little bit more, mentally he was already gone.
Do you think that he may have had some of the same traumas in his childhood that you had in yours?
Yeah, so one day he got extremely high one day and he
Mhm.
calls me and he just pours his heart out to me. And one of the
Mhm.
many things he says is he talks about how his brother did stuff to him and
Mhm.
he's witnessed a lot of stuff occurring with his brother.
Mhm.
And it was just like, man, he just went through a lot of trauma and I felt for him.
Mhm.
I felt for him. I really did. My heart was heavy for him.
Mhm.
But I mean, he never got help.
Yeah.
Because it comes to a certain point in life where you're old enough where you can actually make a decision to go get help. He never decided to get help. He did self-medicating the whole time. He
Mhm.
got the drugs, the alcohol.
Mhm.
That was his way of getting help. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it just destroyed him.
Mhm. I know that I use this term a lot, the slow motion suicide. That's really what
Oh
it sounds
yeah.
like. It
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like he does these drugs and this alcohol to deal with his past trauma because he either is unable or unwilling to confront some of the issues from his past.
Right.
And it also sounds like a generational curse with your family, which is real. You know, it's something that we don't talk about. You hear it a lot. People don't really delve into what a generational curse is. You
Right.
know, we sometimes look back and say, okay, well, I don't know why I like to drink, but then you look, your father was an alcoholic, grandfather was an alcoholic, brother was an alcoholic, and
Hmm.
you know, one of the biggest things is I have to break this curse. But if you don't know how to, you could actually damage yourself more.
Right.
So, when was the last time you spoke to your father about?
When was the last time I spoke to him? I'll say about maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Was it a cordial conversation?
Yeah, just high and by.
Okay.
Yeah. The funny thing is, throughout my whole childhood, he's never been far. He's always lived 5 minutes down the road from me.
Oh wow.
But I've never saw him like that. Never
Mm-hmm.
saw him. And I'm not
Now,
even mad at him. I appreciate
mm-hmm,
him not being in my life
mm-hmm,
because I never witnessed the chaos that he brought in, like in my mom's life. I never seen her getting hit. Never saw that, and I'm so thankful I did.
kind of like a blessing in disguise in certain ways.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, it's kind of a gift and a curse because you didn't see
Oh
that
yeah.
aspect, but it affected you in different ways with your relationships
Oh
with
yeah,
black
absolutely.
men, and you didn't have that father figure in your life. So it's that
Right.
gift and a curse.
That's true.
Now, what about your brother and your father? Do they get along?
The crazy thing is they do. Even though I feel like they have the most trauma between them,
Mm-hmm,
because I feel like he used to attack my brother as well, but they're
mm-hmm,
thick as thieves right now, and I feel like that's just out of necessity.
mm-hmm,
My mom died.
mm-hmm,
My mom raised my brother on guilt, and my brother thrived off of it.
mm-hmm,
And so, even though in his mind the whole family hates him, in
mm-hmm,
reality we just don't got time for his mess.
mm-hmm,
And so it got to a point where, yeah, when my mom passed, he just felt so alone. And I mean, basically he was because nobody in the family, not my aunts, my uncles, none of us were gonna put up with his BS.
mm-hmm,
And so he fell back on my father.
mm-hmm,
He started depending on my father more, and I'm like, that's the worst person in the world to depend on because
mm-hmm,
there's nothing for you there but chaos and destruction. But
mm-hmm,
they thick as thieves.
mm-hmm. Do
Yeah, they
you
both hate me.
now? Do you in certain ways hate their relationship, or in certain ways jealous that you don't
that
have the
is none of
relationship?
my that is none of my damn business.
Well, do you at times wish that you have that type of relationship with your
Not at
father or a
all.
father figure?
No. See, I have my uncles and they're great, but my
Okay.
father, nah, I'm fine. That it was never meant to be.
Mm, okay. Well, I know that you mentioned your mom, and it
Hmm.
appears as if you two were really, really close.
Oh yeah, that was my rock back in the day. Well, not back in the day, even now.
Yeah, yeah,
Even in the spiritual plane, she's still my rock.
yeah. Mothers often are. Yeah,
Yeah.
mothers are often hard, and we usually don't realize how much we need them until we don't have them
Hmm.
anymore. And that's something that a lot of people take for granted. You know,
Oh yeah.
we attack our parents, and we're angry at them because we're the kids. That's what we do.
Yeah.
but we don't necessarily understand what they do for us. There's things looking back that I was angry at my parents for, and as an adult, I now understand why they did it. I now
Right.
understand the sacrifices that they've had to make for me. That
Hmm.
when I was a child, just seemed stupid or cruel, or it seems like they were doing it just to attack me, just to make my life harder. But they were actually preparing me for a harder life and
Right.
preparing me to take care of myself. So if the fact that you had a mother that was there for you, that's definitely a blessing.
Oh yeah, my mom, that was an angel. Like, if there's anybody that I knew for a fact went to heaven, that was my
Mm-hmm.
mom. She would give you the shirt off her back if that was the last thing she owned. Uh, she was incredible. I mean, she set the standard for me going to college.
Mm-hmm.
She got her bachelor's, and then while me and my sister were in high school, she went ahead and got her master's degree.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was just so impressed by that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she was amazing. She was honestly, she was just amazing.
And considering what you
Truly
had on the other
amazing.
side of the family, that's something big. It was
Oh
like a
yeah,
different world for you.
thankfully, like with my mom and them, even my uncles, a lot of them were college
Mm-hmm.
educated. If not, they went into the trade school or they got a trade
Mm-hmm.
and they made an outstanding life for themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had a lot of great examples. Uh, but when it came to my mom, like my mom, I feel kind of bad for her because I feel like
Mm-hmm.
she may have wanted a more traditional son, but
Yeah.
I was a weird kid. Not even just being gay. That's in the back burner. But
Mm-hmm.
I was always like a weird, unique kid. I never really cared for sports like that. I was a science geek. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to know how everything worked. I needed logic. I needed some rational information to come in my way. And my mom used to get on. She used to hate me. She used to be like, "Oh my God, please stop asking me questions." Even when we talked about Christianity and the Bible, like I was like, that
Mm-hmm.
makes no sense because technically a whale can only carry this much weight in their mouth, and how Jonah got it was a lot. I had so many questions, and I
Mm-hmm.
was one of those kids. But
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't ask for a better mother. But sadly, I lost her 2 years ago. She fought for a very long time. She fought against ALS.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most devastating diseases I've seen in my life.
Can you explain, kind of go into what ALS is?
ALS is amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Yeah.
It's kind of related to multiple sclerosis, except for one of the biggest differences is uh, ALS, it gets worse. It does
Mm-hmm.
not stay stable. It gets worse over time, and also is fatal. Usually, the time frame for people living with it is 2 to 5 years.
Wow. That's
And
what
so, with
Stephen
that
Hawking
being,
had, right?
yeah, but he had like a really rare version of it, which allowed him to live to like for 50 more years. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I know that had
But
to be
yeah,
tough, just seeing it just deteriorate.
it
Uh,
was one of the hardest things because my mom was the exact opposite of that. Like my mom was one of those
mm-hmm.
type of people. I'm going out in the neighborhood. I'm doing Meals on Wheels. I'm gonna go to
Mm-hmm.
church. I'm also gonna teach the youth basketball team. I'm gonna tutor kids when it comes to senior projects. Like that was
Mm-hmm.
who my mom was. She was always on the go. So when this disease hit and she had to be homebound, she couldn't walk, barely could talk, couldn't move her hands. That was extremely traumatizing because I was like, wow, what happened? Like my mom was never like this. And it was
Mm-hmm.
my new reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you kind of had to drop everything to take care of her.
Yeah. Sort of kind of. Thankfully I got a lot of brothers and I got a very supportive family. So we all
Mm-hmm.
put in our part. But I went back to live my life, but I came back down to North Carolina because I was living in Maryland at the time. So I drove back down to Maryland, North Carolina, like once or twice a month just to check on her, take care of her, do as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. Now, during that time frame, were you seeing a therapist?
I was not. Oh, I was not. Did
So
I
how'd you
need
do?
to? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now, how?
Uh, During that time, I drowned myself in my work.
Mm-hmm.
Back in Maryland, I was working very intensive jobs where it required me going out in the field, going on the building, so on and so forth. And
Mm-hmm.
with that, I mean, I drowned myself in work, so I wouldn't have to think about it as much. I volunteered for everything I could. If it wasn't for that, I also did rock climbing at that time. That helped me out a
Wow.
lot as well. Yeah.
Wow.
No, indoor rock climbing. I'm sorry. Let me break that back. Indoor rock climbing. I can't
Black
go
people don't do
outdoor.
that.
Yeah, if I fall, my biggest fear is falling and dying. So I ain't doing no outdoor rock climbing, but
Man, there's
indoor.
something wrong with that. We should go do it together. Let's go rock climb.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm
go
good.
climb a mountain.
Yeah, so that's out. But Yeah, I didn't have any therapy, but it got really bad in 2018 because that was the year my mom died.
Mhm.
But not only that, that was also the year I told you about my homeboy Joel. He committed
Mhm.
suicide. And I was the first person on site, and that it was a lot.
How
That
do
just
you
shut me down.
how do you go? How do you commit suicide?
He hung himself. He dealt with depression for a very long time, but he never acknowledged it. Never. He's like, "No, nah, I'm fine. I'll be all right. I don't need to talk to no therapist. They're not going to understand me anyway."
Mhm.
And it just got to the point where he just couldn't handle it anymore.
What's so funny is that that's such a familiar statement just in our community in general. It's
Oh
always, I
yeah,
don't need a therapist. I'm fine. I'm not depressed. I'll be all right. I'll tough it out. And, you know, we sometimes have those cries for help. And if no one's around to hear it, who's to say what we do?
right.
In certain cases, we dig ourselves out. But unfortunately, as in the case of your friend, he wasn't able to.
No, not at all.
And I know that that probably had to hurt you a lot, seeing your friends. And you
Yeah,
probably
because
felt like, I wish I could have done more to help him. I wish that I could have said more. I wish that I could have been around more. And unfortunately, in those situations, we tend to blame ourselves,
right.
which hurts us and it affects us. So we're dealing with self-doubt,
Mm-hmm.
self-hatred, and grief at the same time.
Right.
So we don't have the time to focus on our grief because we're angry at ourselves.
That's
And then
true.
we mix that anger in with the grief. And then we mix in the other things around life that's going on. And then, when you have to talk to his family or when you're around the family or at the funeral, now you're taking in their emotions. So
Yeah.
that's just a perfect storm.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, with you finding his body, did you have to call the police or did you call his family? How did that work?
Thankfully, so I
Mm-hmm.
was the first person on site, but I didn't go into the house.
Okay.
So I was knocking at the doors and windows. I just thought he was asleep that day. He
Mm-hmm.
just missed work. So I had to go to the leasing office, and they went to his apartment. They made me stand outside because
Mm-hmm.
just in case something happened, they didn't want me to see it directly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just standing outside. About 5 minutes later, she comes out. Tears are just falling down her face. Like, yeah, he committed suicide. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't have time to cry or react. I was like, oh my God. And then me being who I am, my next thought was, okay, I have to call his family. I got to call his sister, got to call his girlfriend, got to call his
Mm-hmm.
mom. I need to get the emotions going. So then the cops come on site and the ambulance come on site. They're asking me questions like, did you know him? Like, yeah, he was my coworker. Yeah, he was
Mm-hmm.
also my coworker. I'm sorry. He was my coworker and my mentor for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then with all that, I was in go mode. I was talking to police officers, talked to
Mm-hmm.
homicide when they came out just to make sure it was just to ask me a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part was when I had to call his sister
Mm-hmm.
because that just broke my heart. Had to call his sister, had to call his girlfriend. It was just that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot.
Yeah. Now, how'd you deal with it when you went home or once the noise stops? When you're around yourself, by yourself, it's quiet. How'd you deal with all that?
I cried hard.
Mm-hmm.
I cried hard. I remember because I didn't cry the first day. That next day, I was sitting in my car
Mm-hmm.
because I decided to go to work because we had to do some cleaning.
Sure.
Go to work. Well, that morning before I go to work, I'm just sitting in the car, and then one of the songs I was listening to was one of his favorite songs. Was it Chance the Rapper? I forget the name of it. Oh, somebody should call security, something like that. And it
Mm-hmm.
started playing, and tears just started flowing
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, man, and I'm just cussing them out because we had that type of the relationship where we just talk a lot of shit to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just cussing them out while I'm just crying, wiping the tears off. I'm like, man, you ain't shit. I don't know why you leave me and stuff, blah, blah, blah. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You know something that I had to learn about death, and this was a hard lesson for me because I've lost a lot of people in my life, and most of them were sudden
Mm-hmm.
deaths. Full disclosure, I actually had to call you last night. Well, most people don't know, because I
Mm-hmm.
was in a pretty bad spot because I had an uncle pass away yesterday,
Right.
and I had to call Derek last night because I was just so screwed up emotionally. Uh, because whenever we lose somebody, we get so angry and we selfishly think about what it's doing to us.
Yeah.
We always say, "Man, I can't believe they left me. When my grandmother passed away, I cried, why? And I punched my door. Like, why would she leave me?
Right.
I wasn't even considering the pain that she was in. I wasn't considering what she was going through. I just selfishly only worried about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we sometimes have to think about these other people's trials, their tribulations. We have to think about the pain that they're in. You know, we have to sometimes take ourselves out, but that's hard because we're human. We feel those emotions. We hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
absolutely.
at times like that, that's when you need somebody to help you. You need somebody to talk to. That's when you should be reaching out to your friends, your therapist, your pastor. You know, sometimes the old drunk man on the corner, he might be able to give you some advice, but that's when you need to reach out, you know, because you may take that emotion and deal with it in the wrong way. You may say, I can't deal with it. So you know what? Let me go drink. Let me go drink myself to sleep so that I don't have to face this. Right. You just say, you know what? Let me just drink, fall asleep. When I wake up, I'll figure it all out. And then when you wake up, you haven't figured it out yet. So you drink some more. Go back to sleep. Wake up, I'm going to figure it out. And what we confuse with figuring it out is actually us just suppressing it deeper inside. And it's going to come out later. I'm a perfect example of that. With a lot of the people that passed away, I either didn't cry at their funerals or I didn't cry before. And then months later, I just started crying. Because, you know, I've always kind of had this theory that, you know, men don't cry.
Oh, God, no.
You know, that's just the theory a lot of men have. Like, you got to be strong. You know, you're a coward if you cry. Like, I still get angry at myself to this day if I cry. And I shouldn't. And I'm working on that.
Yeah, definitely don't be angry. You keep working on that, man.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, when it comes to me crying, my emotions are right here. Ever since, like, losing my mom and then Joel, my coworker, and then other people in my life, I've gotten to the point where I'll cry if I have to. Hell, I cried earlier today. It's like my emotions are always right here at the out of nowhere. I could just start crying, and I'm at the point where I'm allowing myself to cry. I'm not going to apologize for being emotional because at the end of the day, I'm human. I'm just a kid who misses my mom, and I miss my friends, and I miss my family members who passed. And so with that, I feel like I need to give myself permission to cry. It's okay.
And the crazy thing about it is what you said is what a lot of men and some women need to hear. We need to realize that it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Oh, God,
it's okay to not have an answer. It's okay to just say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to handle this. This is too big for me. This is too much for me. That's okay. And you have to know when to say, you know what, I need help.
Yeah.
It took a while for me to go to therapy. I went to therapy.
I did.
I'm actually still
because I was telling you to go to therapy.
You were.
I was telling you to go to therapy. Go to therapy. It's
and you were saying, get you a black therapist. My therapist is amazing.
Oh, definitely get a black therapist.
I had a white therapist.
My therapist is everything. She told me the truth.
Yeah. And he was saying, yeah, you know, you said, hey, man, I got me a black therapist. She's the bomb. I said, man, I got to find one of those. You know, finding a black therapist is like a unicorn in certain cases. You know, I was going
believe it or not, it's not as bad as I thought. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to a white therapist who literally didn't understand my experience or my life. He didn't understand the struggles of just being black, first off. Then being a black man. Then being a black man from an urban neighborhood, you know, where people have these preconceived notions about who you are and about your experiences. You know, that's hard. And then you go into the corporate world and you have to pretend to be something else, kind of like you had to do for most of your life. A lot of people don't understand that we have to at times wear two faces just to blend
coding
in.
Is real. Coding is real.
We can't show who we really are or what we really feel because we're so afraid of being labeled by society.
Right.
And then with social media, you have people living these fake lives and you say, man, I wish I had that. Man, I wish I had that kind of money. I wish I had that car. I wish my life was like that. But it's fake. It's an illusion. Right. But we're so caught up with trying to live that illusion, we make ourselves worse.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like a guy that watches porn for the first time and thinks, oh, man, sex is going to be like that every time.
That's funny because it's not
and
true.
You realize, like, wait a minute, it was nothing like that. So then you say, you know, I got to redo this. But
Yep, absolutely.
yeah, that's the same thing. We need help, and I know this is gonna sound biased, but especially as Black people, we really need it because we're
Oh
not
God,
just fighting our own battles; we're fighting our parents' battles, we're fighting our ancestors' battles.
this is
We still
generational
have that with
trauma.
it. It's generational trauma. It's uh, pain, anger, alcoholism. We have all of that, and we're one of the few races that have been taught to not embrace it.
Yep.
We're one of the few races that have been taught, oh, if you're emotional, you're a coward or you're soft. If you cry, you're weak. That's the biggest thing that I notice with Black people is being afraid to appear weak. It's okay to be weak sometimes.
I feel like being Black, well, this is actually true. Like you're always in survival mode. Like
Yeah.
back, our ancestors were, their survival mode clip was cut on, and it
Mm-hmm.
has never been cut off.
Yeah.
Generation after generation after generation. It's
Mm-hmm.
2020 now, and to this day, we're still feeling it.
The old statement, you have to work twice as hard to get half the respect. It's so
Yep.
weird that that's a normal way of life for us, but
Hmm.
that's not normal.
Right.
The things that we normalize just to survive, it's amazing.
Right. Now you're right.
And so, let's see. Got a couple more things I want to cover with you, and then we're
No,
going
no
to open it
problem.
up for Q&A. All right. So, you did mention that you were in the military.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Honestly, it's one of the best experiences of my life.
Really?
Uh, yeah, but I say that because I was never, I didn't get deployed.
Okay.
Uh, I was always on shore duty, but even with shore duty, I got to a point where I was just, it brought me to who I am now. Because
Mm-hmm.
before that, I was still a shy, quiet kid. I didn't know who I was as a person, but now I'm at a point where I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know exactly who I was meant to be. And with the military, it helped me get on that path. Like, yeah, like James,
Yeah.
I have a strong personality now.
Yeah.
But before this, I did not have a strong personality. I had
Mm-hmm.
my way of thinking. I was just quiet. I didn't want to make anybody upset.
Mm-hmm.
But the older I've gotten, and especially with the military, it gave me permission to be like, you know what? Part of my French, everybody, but fuck everybody. At the end of the day, this is my life.
Yeah.
This is the life that I have to live. Nobody else has to experience what I'm going through.
Mm. Now,
Yeah.
and how was college? How was that for you?
Oh, college was just a breeze. I was an older college student. I think I went to college when I was, what, 22? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just, only thing I did was just get my degree. I love my college, so college was great for me. I love that experience because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gotten through this field.
What field is that?
My degree is in environmental health. I work as an industrial hygienist.
For those that don't know, can you explain what that is? I know what it is. We work together on projects all the
Yeah,
time. So,
yeah, but a
yeah,
lot of people don't. I get this all the time.
yeah.
So, what an IH is? So basically, I'm a super duper health inspector.
Mm-hmm.
Except for I don't go into restaurants, I don't go into swimming pools and inspect. I go into buildings, I go into trains, I go into different types of buildings, all types of sorts of things, and I inspect for asbestos, lead, and mold, or anything else that could be deemed hazardous for people inside of that location.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have asbestos in it, I have to go in there. If you have asbestos in your house or the building you're working in, I have to go in there and I have to map out and find where the asbestos is at, and also I have to test to see if it actually is asbestos.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't have, if it's not remarked as asbestos or something like that, then I have to test it. So that's
And
I'm
the
a
number one
nerd.
question is they have Black people that do industrial hygiene?
Not many, but we are out there. We are out there. It's a quiet field.
Mm-hmm.
One thing people don't know is it's a really small field.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's so many possibilities with it, so many opportunities because just to give you an idea, my first job was in Maryland. I'm a strong 25-year-old kid,
Mm-hmm.
25-year-old Black kid, and I go to the office and I'm working with seven 50 to 60-year-old white men. Most people would be, traumatized or scared by that because I was the only thing of any form of color in there. But
Mm-hmm.
I
I've heard
learned
that can be
so
a little
much.
difficult.
Oh, it can be. It can be. But honestly, they were great guys. I learned so
Mm-hmm.
much. But while I was working with them, I realized that this field is getting thinner and thinner because the younger generation is not falling into this. And so one of my missions in life is like get more black kids to be just to look at it, just to research it, figure out what I'm doing. Because I mean, these doors are always open. You can get a job on a local, state, or federal level. But that's one thing about me. I'm never scared about a job. I can always get another job. Like even today, I just got 3 emails about jobs. And so I love this field, and I want to get more people of color into this because they need us.
Yeah.
They need us. This is
Our
a
voices
market that
need to be
nobody
heard.
has touched. Yeah, this is a market that nobody has touched. Barely when it comes to the black community. I'm like, we could dominate this.
Okay. Now, with all of these things you have going for you, you ever think about getting married? Because they say marriage has a way of stabilizing somebody.
Well, I've been married before. I'm cool. I mean, would I get married again? Sure. If it's the right person, absolutely. But right now, at this point in time in my life, I want to be the best me I can be before I become one with another person.
Now, what advice would you give to anyone that's on the fringe about getting mental health or going to see a therapist, or just feels that they don't need it? What advice would you give them?
One, it's okay. That's the main thing. I know it's a simple statement, but it's okay not to be okay. Like Kamina said, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay that you got to talk to somebody. I understand as black people, we are strong. But at the end of the day, let's be real, we ain't that damn strong. When it comes to mental health, we need help. I know, yes, we can go to our pastor, we go to church. I used to get that a lot. Like, I go to pastor, I go to my church, I get enough from that. How about you can add on to that and just get a therapist or a counselor? I promise you, they're not going to tell you what to do. They're just giving you they're giving you their ear so they can listen to your story.
Now, your therapist, you've told me so much about your therapist.
Love
you
her
told
dearly.
me about how great your therapist is, which again inspired me to get a black female therapist, which by the way, good call.
You're welcome.
It's amazing. It's made a huge difference. You know, I'm seeing things about myself. What types of breakthroughs do you feel that you've made since going to therapy?
Well, let's be real. I didn't even think I had a problem with black men like that until therapy. And she broke it down to me like, yeah, black men betrayed you. And so in your mind, you're like, you can't trust them. And I never would have thought about it that way. Never would have thought about it that way.
So whenever you hear these some of these black women that hate black men or have these issues with black men, you can probably, I guess you can kind of relate with them.
I can relate. I definitely can. But at the same time, I'm on the other side of that now. And I can see at that situation where I was in, it looked like that all black men were trash. But at the end of the day, it was the black men in my life. So my father and my brother, the two most important black men in my life, they're supposed to be my protectors and my guide. They disappointed me or betrayed me. And so since they betrayed me, I just made it automatic. Like, okay, all black men are just evil.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy you came out on the other side of that. I really, really am. I'm happy that I've gotten to know
me too.
you. You know,
you're welcome. Our presence is a present.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? I want to thank your therapist, which is your therapist, for even getting you through it. Which one is your therapist? You said that she's on here.
LaShawna.
Oh, LaShawna.
Ms. Stevens.
Well, thank you, LaShawna. And you know, we need more people like you in the black community because you understand our issues. You know, you probably seen them, you probably lived them, and you have a different point of view. So I don't know if people can contact you virtually if they need a therapist. I know I'm just throwing people at you, but you know, for the people that are here, if you need therapy, reach out. You know, I didn't expect to have a therapist on this call. I genuinely did not. Derek surprised me with this. So please reach out to LaShawna. I don't know if you have contact information that you can give to people.
I do have a website, www.sounddevicecounsellingllc.com.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook as well and Instagram.
Okay. What state do you practice in?
I practice in Georgia, but I'm licensed in New Hampshire and New Jersey as well.
Okay. So yeah, folks, try to take down this website, take down this Facebook page, take down all of this information, reach out. You know, even if it's just what I call a mental health checkup. There's nothing wrong with getting a mental health checkup.
Not at all.
And another thing that I've learned to love is mental health days from work.
God, yes.
Take a day off
God,
sometimes.
yes.
Just stay home and do nothing. Go in the room, cut the lights out, put some music on, kick everybody out, and just
Yes.
take a mental health day. It's necessary. You will go crazy
so
if you
true.
don't. And take a vacation. I'm talking to myself because I haven't taken one in years. Go live life. Go enjoy life. I think that this COVID thing has shown us, how fast this can all be taken away from us. Go live your life. What is this? Oh, Ty actually had a message up there. But yeah, definitely go live your life. So with that, with Ty posting this message, I'm inviting people to Q&A. And if you have any questions, comments, if you want to say anything to Derek, to anybody in the group, you can put it in the chat or you can speak out. Feel free. I'm going to start with Ty. Actually, I'm going to start with Kamina. Kamina said it's okay to not be okay. Give yourself permission to cry. Definitely.
Absolutely.
And Ty said that she took a leave from work for anxiety and don't regret it. Yeah.
Don't blame you. I do it all the time.
That anxiety and depression are real. It's real.
Yes.
Take that time. Oh, Kamina learned the hand thing.
Oh,
For those of you that don't know, I was on Joe, who's at the bottom, Joe in Court. I was on his show. And I started the trend of raising your hands whenever you want to speak on a Zoom call. And I said it's going to catch on. And Joe didn't believe me. Joe, was I right or was I right?
You're right, brother.
Kamina, the floor is yours.
So I was just gonna say, so like if your head hurts or if you break a body part, you go to a mentally, I think you should go to a therapist.
I agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If we can treat our minds, we can definitely. If we can treat our bodies, we can definitely treat our minds. Definitely. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Who's this?
Hello.
This Angie. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. Yeah, everybody can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I've been trying to say a couple things.
I need a heal.
One thing is that old saying, they say sticks and stones won't hurt my bones. I mean, sticks and stones that hurt me, but words would never. Words do hurt. That is such a bad cliche. Words do hurt. And
absolutely.
Words go really, really deep, and I've back in the day, our family, they didn't know they had deep rooted issues, and they might have took it out on us, saying hurtful things or doing things, but they really, really didn't realize they had issues themselves, and they might have been dormant. They might have it might have been from way back in the generations, and they didn't even know why they felt this way, or you felt they was being aggressive or mean, but they didn't know how to let it out. In therapy, they didn't know nothing about no therapy. People nowadays still gotta you going to a therapist, something wrong with you, and we still have that today. And we're in 2020, so it's a lot of things now. And I think you said, James, generational curses. Generational curses is so real. It's back from way back in the day, and it's still going on. It's going on. And I wanted to say to Walter, you say you're not speaking to your brother, right?
No, I'm not at all.
Okay. But you know what? What if something happened to him and say he would have dropped dead today or tomorrow, and you didn't have that, even if it was something you wanted to get off your chest and you want to get off, and it may not even be nice or it may not even be good. I think you just need to let him know how you feeling and get it off your chest and let that bitterness go, if you have bitterness, because I had that towards my mom, and I don't even know why it happened, but it was communication. People think the wrong thing of people, and when people get that communication out and clear the air. They was like, well, I thought it was this. And they was like, no, it wasn't that, it was this, you know. And it's so silly about, you know, things we think people don't like us for or whatever. But before anything, if you don't say nothing else and he don't speak to you, get what you got to say off your chest, you're going to feel better.
Oh, I definitely hear you on that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
When it came to my brother, we've had numerous conversations, and I've always expressed how I felt towards him, and like I always told him I would love to have a brother-brother relationship because I've never had that type of brotherhood, never had it with him, and I told him that I always wanted that, and then he would tell me he would too, but all his actions were the complete opposite, and then there was a lot of extra chaos I haven't gotten into. That's a whole nother world. It was basically in his eyes, I'm always public enemy. And so I told him one day, I love you, but I don't know if we're gonna keep talking. Because the last time we talked, he basically threatened my life for no reason. And so I just said, I love you and take care.
Yeah, he got some issues too. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's all I wanted to say. Yeah.
Thank you so
Angie.
much.
Does anybody else have anything? Questions, comments, concerns, their own mental health experiences?
I just wanted to add something.
Sure.
Can y'all hear me?
I can. Yes.
So as it relates to people, what?
No, go ahead. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So as it relates to people that it's hard to connect with, sometimes you have to love people from a distance, and I love that about you. Like, you give them good wishes, but you know, like, in order for me to keep my mental health and to keep my sanity, I have to remove myself from other people, which is amazing. And I would also say, like, from a religious standpoint, it's like, if you don't have something in your life, God will give it to you in a different way. So for like women like me who don't have the best father-daughter relationship, God has given me other people that I was able to connect with. So even with your brother, you may want that relationship, but somehow, some way in the universe, you'll still find that connection somewhere else. So I think that's just amazing how God works in that. Like, you may not feel like you have what you need, but then he'll give you someone like your uncles that supply that need for you.
Yes, absolutely. I've definitely had my substitute, and God has blessed me with so many people who fill those shoes of what my brother could have been. And I'm just forever grateful, and I love them more than anything, and they're always there for me. So you're 100% right on that. God's always there, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kamina. Kara had your hand up. Told you it's a trend.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Kara.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Derek. Hi, James. First of all, James, thank you for this, because this show has absolutely been therapeutic. I was cycling and listening. But really, Derek, I thank you for your transparency on so many different issues, from colorism to, who you are as a person, and the fact that you are a living testament that regardless of what we go through, we can still be kind. Because the one time I met you, you were just this happy-go-lucky, energetic, awesome, enthusiastic person. And like, and for me, that matters, because I think a lot of times in the Black community, so often life has beat us up. And I don't know which one of you said it first. The fact that Black people live as though we are, what did you say? Something, not retaliation, but protective mode.
Survival
mode. I don't know which one of you said it, but it's like, the fact that, Derek, that you just walk around with such a beautiful heart, that's your healing process. So I thank you, and I pray that you continue to share your story, and the fact that you are just out here still encouraging people, and the fact that, number one, that you talked about perhaps maybe having, I don't know at what point of the relationship you and your mother, it may have been a little bit tumultuous, maybe in the beginning, but the fact that you loved her through that, we need more of that in the Black community, because what I'm finding is that a lot of Black children are not forgiving of their parents. So I'm so grateful that you and your mother were able to develop a good relationship, and I pray that more people hear this. So perhaps if I can ask a question, what advice would you give to young Black kids today who are struggling with maintaining or choosing to maintain a healthy relationship with their with their families? In fact, I have a better question. I received a phone call today that a family member, a child who's 16 years old, is upset with his mother because his mother drinks too much and decided to live with his father. He said, "Mom, you need to go to rehab." What advice would you give to that child?
The best advice I would give to that child is love your mom, love her. And a lot of times, we've been told this a lot, but a lot of times we still think about parents as gods or superheroes. They still have that, we still have that vision of them. But at the end of the day, and the older I've gotten, the more I realize like my mom is just as human as any of the rest of us. She has seen so much life. And I have to take that in perspective. Like, you know what? My mom is human. But at the end of the day, she did the best she could with what she was given. And so I accept that and I love her. I love her more than anything. That's my rock. And whew, try not to cry. But so the best thing I would tell that kid is just try to love your mom. Try to understand that your mom she's damaged just like the rest of us.
Exactly.
She's damaged.
Powerful.
Best thing I can tell you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cara.
Love you.
Love you too.
Hang on. We got another question from Joanne. How do you respond to the "we all have issues" and going to therapy is going to uproot things that don't need to be uprooted and make things worse? That's a good one because I've actually had that said to me before.
That's a good one. That is a good one. The best thing, I think I had a good response to this back in the day. I'm trying to remember when was it. I think one time when somebody asked me, well, we all have issues, like just bringing up old stuff. It's like at the end of the day, the issues that I'm experiencing are affecting me negatively. And if I don't get this a handle on this, I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know where my path is going to go. So though you feel like we all have issues, my issues matter the most to me. And so that's why I have to get therapy. That's why I seek out help because I'm strong, but damn it, I'm tired of being strong all the damn time. As Black people, we always have this, I say facade that we always the strongest people in the world. And I'm like, damn it, aren't we tired? Like,
Exactly.
we put this up all day. Like, I want to just sit home and cry sometimes. Can I just lay on somebody's shoulder and just break down and just be human, be vulnerable? It's so hard for me to open up sometimes, but I just want all of us to get to a point where we can be free and be open to showing who we are as a person.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Joanne.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions
And I
or
would
comments?
like to add that I would just like to add that sometimes, like when you bring stuff to the upfront, it's gonna be hard. But when you get through that hardness, it's freedom on the other side. Like when you talk about your story, you're not letting your past keep you in shame, keep you like, oh my gosh, I feel bad for this. So talking about our story and talking about what we go through and uprooting those issues actually gives us freedom, and like it allows us to move into the next level of who we're called to be. Sometimes it's stumbling blocks, and we're so comfortable in this issue, so comfortable in this way of thinking that we have to unlearn bad behaviors. And that's what I learned in my counseling session. Like I'm literally going through unlearning all these negative thoughts that I've told myself for years upon years. And you know what? She'll ask me, who told you that, honey? I'm like, I think I just made it up based on things. So like you gotta get real sometimes so you can move on.
And just to piggyback on what you just said, because it just made me think about something that my therapist said. Sometimes when you're a kid, people will say certain things even about you, and it's negative. And throughout the years, you don't know where these thoughts came from, but they're now in your psyche. And these weren't even your thoughts to begin with. It's some other thoughts that people put in your mind. What people said, you started absorbing it and believing it, and now it's part of your psyche. And you never thought that about yourself back in the day. And that just blows my mind. Like, man, like words have such a strong effect. like what Andrew was saying earlier, like words have a very strong effect on people, and it's just, man, like always, yeah. It just blows my mind how strong of an effect that people can say something about you, and you get older, it's like you start believing it. But at the end of the day, I call myself really cocky. Sometimes my sisters call me conceited, but I just say no. When I say I'm the best thing walking, it's because I believe it. I know I am, and I have to be the best for me. But I'm not gonna be an asshole about it. Like I'm just a positive ball of sunshine who just knows I have a lot to offer the world.
That hit home right there, bro.
Did it?
Yeah, that hit home for a minute.
Right.
All right, Joe's learned that he's doing the hand thing. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I can't find the hand raise option over here. Maybe I have an older version of Zoom.
It's all right.
Derek, I appreciate your transparency, man. Definitely listening to your story. I have a really quick question. What do you say to particularly a black man that may be afraid of going to therapy? What advice would you have for them?
Ooh. I was just, one of the main things I would just say is I went to therapy to get better for myself. I'm not trying to impress the world. I'm not trying to make anybody else happy but me. Because at the end of the day, people see a facade of me being like, oh, he's smiling. You know, he got money. He got a great job. You know, he's doing great. But if you're miserable inside, you're miserable. So you go to therapy for you. Like, cut out everybody else, including family. Don't get me wrong. Family be some of the main people that tear you down too. Because you got to remember, family are human too. So they have their own opinions. So I went to therapy for me. And so I was just telling them, I want you to be the best version you can be. And sometimes you need therapy. Even if you just tell your story. Because I know you probably get bored just telling your story to yourself. So it's like, just talk to your therapist, talk to your counselor, just express how you're feeling. It's okay. I promise you it's okay. And if anybody else says, if anybody says, oh, you weak for doing that, that's their problem. If anything, it's showing their weakness for not being open to the fact that therapy can save your life.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask the questions again, but I'm going to ask a honest question, a candid question. Mm-hmm. Who here has actually gone to therapy before? I can't see everybody's camera, so you can shout out maybe or turn the cameras on. So we've got what, one? Any others? Well, you're a therapist, you don't count, but yeah, you do. Yeah. All right. Can you see my hands? Okay. Is it new iPad? So I'm still trying to figure out where the cameras are.
No, I have not.
I'm sorry.
I said no, I have not.
Oh, hello, Miss Moore.
Hi.
It appears as if we've met before. That's actually my sister, Lavada.
I
if you
didn't
need
have any video because I'm doing my daughter's hair, so.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, how many of you will be willing to try therapy? One. That's it. Oh, two. All right. Any others?
I'm already in it.
Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
So it's too late.
5 are in. That's good. That really warms my heart to hear that because, you know, again,
absolutely,
there was a time when Black people did not go to therapy. We didn't. But, you know, the fact that we've had people that are willing to try, and Tracy said that you're no longer in therapy, but you have been. I assume that, I don't know if it's because you feel like you've gotten better or you don't need it anymore. But if you feel the need for it, feel free. We have a therapist on here that you can reach out to that help Derek. And if you could help Derek, I mean, you know.
It's funny.
All right. We have another raised hand. I think Joanne, is that you?
No, actually, that was to answer the question that I'm willing to go to therapy.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. All right. That's huge progress. Does anyone have any other comments, questions, concerns?
I just want to encourage people, when you go to therapy, you have to be real. Like, ever since my parents got a divorce, I've been to 4 different therapists. Like, the first one was a Black male. The second one, the other 2 were, like, white females. And then I go right now to a Black female. And find someone someone that you connect with. It's okay if that
Yes.
doctor is not right for you. Somebody else will be, you know? So just not giving up and being completely honest. Like, I've been, like, telling her stuff way in the past that I even kept from my first 3 therapists. So, like, in order to really grow, you have to be open. And, yes, it's scary sometimes. But, again, you see the joy that Derek has? That is amazing. And I'm feeling that now, too, because I've worked through these issues and I'm currently working through, and I have hope. I feel like therapy gives you hope that just because I'm right here doesn't mean I'm going to stay here. Like, I promise the devil tried to take me out with anxiety and depression and, like, suicidal thoughts. But therapy saved me, God saved me, and just that whole connection. And I go to, like, a Christian therapist, which I like how she incorporates my faith. But find one that works for you and be completely honest. Because if you're not honest, it's like, okay, they're going to put a Band-Aid on it, but they're not really going to heal it. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
No, that's good. That's good. All right. Do we have anyone else? Anything else? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, this has been a great episode. We'll be back next week. We're going to have a new topic. I'm waiting to see if I can confirm a guest. I'll send information out for anyone that wants to tune in. We do have other episodes coming up. If you want to see last week's episode, which was about abstinence or celibacy with Joe, he talked about his journey to abstinence. It's an interesting listen and watch it. It's very, very interesting, considering especially when I know this guy's story. So it's really an interesting listen. We do have other episodes that are coming up. We're going to do an episode on Blacks in law enforcement. So I have a really good guest that's a former prosecutor that's going to be in that episode. We're going to do an episode about Black Trump supporters. That's going to be an interesting one because, you know, we have this cancel culture. Well, we have this cancel culture now where, you know, if we don't agree with someone, you have to go away. But maybe we should understand why they feel how they feel instead of just automatically canceling them. So we're going to interview Black Trump supporters. We're going to be nice. We're going to be cordial with each other. And hopefully we can learn something from each other during this interview. We're going to have an interview with Black swingers, which is something that you really don't hear about. Black goths and vampires. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Blacks that are racist against themselves and other races. Because there are a lot of blacks that don't like other blacks. Black transgenders. That's going to be an interesting one because there's a lot of questions that I myself have that I don't know, and I try to be careful never to not judge anyone. So we're going to be interviewing Black transgenders, Black gang members, Black sex workers, Black atheists, pedophilia in the Black community. That one's going to be a heavy-hitting one.
That's
because
that one's a heavy hitter.
That's the elephant in the room with a lot of us. The pedophilia is so common in our community. And molestation, it's so common and we don't talk about it. If you think of it like this, when the R. Kelly thing came out, we all said, man, I know some R. Kellys in my family. Or I know some R. Kellys from around my way. So we really need to talk about it and address it. We're going to talk about Black finance, Black business ownership, and Black health. So not just mental health, physical health. That one's coming up. And if you have any other ideas for shows or any guests that you'd like to have on, you can email me at fall2risepod@gmail.com, or you can add me on Facebook under my name, James Brown. But please reach out. You know, there's no subject that's too controversial for me to cover. It doesn't matter what it is. Reach out to me. If you have a guest that you'd like me to speak to, reach out. You know, I really want you all to be involved. I want this to be a conversation. I don't want it to just be me giving you information. I want us to talk to each other and understand each other. That's really the goal of this podcast, is for us to understand each other. The reason for the password mirror is I want us to see each other. I want us to see ourselves when we do these shows. So with that being said, thank you all. I genuinely thank you all for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening to my story, people.
And yes, thank you to Derek. I wasn't gonna forget you, Derek.
I know. I didn't know if you're done yet. My bad. But yeah, I was just saying thank you to everyone listening to my story. I know a lot of you said like I have a lot of joy in my heart. I'm just a happy kid, one, but I also choose to be positive because I don't have no time to be negative. To be negative is so much work. So I'm like, I might as well just smile and just make myself feel good as well as everybody else feel good.
Mhm. All right, well, Derek, I can't thank you enough. We've been talking about this for weeks.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, well, yes, we have. We have been.
we have been talking about it for weeks, and I said, you know, people need to hear Derek's story. They do, and maybe from Derek's story, he can help people. I mean, just from this conversation alone, we've already got about 2 people that have said they're willing to go to therapy now.
Yes,
So
it helps you a lot.
it's a start. It's a start. So
Yep.
thank you again. Thank you all for viewing. I'm going to put this on Facebook, and it's more than likely going to go on YouTube. It is going to go on YouTube. So if you wanted to rewatch it, or if you wanted someone else to watch it, feel free to share it. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or ideas, please reach out to me at falltorisepod@gmail.com. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Hi, Uncle Hasi.
Hi, Yanni. Thank you all. Thank you. All right.